Everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for latest videos on English language and literature. Now, this is the first video on U.R. Ananthamurthy's novella Samskara. In this video, I am going to introduce some basic details about the novel. As you all know, U.R. Ananthamurthy's novel Samskara was first published in 1965 in the Kannada language. And later, in 1970, it was made into an award-winning film. Now, we come to some basic details about the novella. As said earlier, Samskara is a religious novella in which the writer, Ananthamurthy, is highly critical of the decaying Brahminism in South India or the decaying Brahmin society of South India. The major characters in this novel are Pransacharya, Naranappa, Putta, and Chandri. The setting of the novel is Durbasapur Agrahara, which is situated in South India. Now, what is an Agrahara? Agrahara is a land that is dedicated to the Brahmins, or it is an exclusive settlement for the Brahmins for their maintenance. The novel is open-ended. The novel ends but does not conclude. So it is essentially a modern novel. Now, U.R. Ananthamurthy is a contemporary Indian writer and critic in the Kannada language. Samskara is one of his most famous works. The novel is subtitled as Right for a Dead Man, which concretizes the focal point of the action of the novel. The novel Samskara takes its title seriously. There are several meanings of the word Samskara in Sanskrit, and the subtitle A Right for a Dead Man is one of those. The novel begins with a crisis and ends ambiguously. As said earlier, Samskara was originally written in the Kannada language. Later, it was translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan, a prominent Indian English poet. Though U.R. Ananthamurthy himself was a professor of English, he did not translate the book. Because Ramanujan was a more prominent figure than Ananthamurthy at that time, so Ananthamurthy assigned the task to Ramanujan so that the book should gain more popularity in the spheres. A.K. Ramanujan is the finest Indian English poet, as you all know. Ramanujan, the eminent translator of the novel, himself said about the novel that Samskara is an allegory that is rich in realistic details. The novel is a fine admixture of realism and allegory. Here you find many realistic details, but internally or inwardly, it is an allegorical novella. Now we come to the main character of the novel, who is Pransacharya. Pransacharya is the central protagonist of the novel. Pransacharya is the leader of the Brahmins of Durbasapur Agrahara and the most revered person. When the novel begins, we find that Pransacharya is the most revered person in the Durbasapur Agrahara. Everybody respects him. He is a learned man, and everyone comes to him for solution to their problems. He is known as the crest jewel of Vedic learning or the crest jewel of Vedanta philosophy because of his immense learning in Ved. He, at the age of 16, married the invalid Bhagirathi and then went to Kasi for Vedic education. He married the invalid Bhagirathi deliberately to attain salvation through service, compassion, and a life of detachment, as advocated by Lord Krishna in the Gita. His conviction was that By marrying an invalid, he was getting ripe and ready. He looked upon his penance as a kind of voluntarily chosen path of salvation. But there is a sudden change in his character and personality. His sudden sexual experience with Chandri transformed his life utterly. A drastic change took place in his life, and his quest for identity begins, which marks him as a modern existential protagonist. In the novel, we find to a great extent the search for identity, the search for true self in a modern world. And Pransacharya is essentially a modern existential man. The second most important character in the novel is Naranappa. He is Pransacharya's opposite, or he is the arrogant anti-self of Pransacharya. As said earlier, the novel begins with a crisis, and the crisis is the death of the reprobate Brahmin Naranappa. Naranappa is a hairless Brahmin. He had no sons or daughters. Throughout his life, he had antagonized the entire Agrahara with his anti-Brahminical ways of living. Now the problem is, after his death, the villagers have disowned his dead body, and nobody is ready to perform his death rites. So his dead body is waiting for his final rites or sanskara. When he was alive, he ate meat, drank with his Muslim friends, and lived with a low-caste prostitute named Chandri as his concubine. So it is very much evident that the problem is who will cremate the dead body, as nobody is ready to perform the death rites of Naranappa. And there are also some other questions. A person who is a Brahmin by birth but not Brahmin by his activity can be considered as a Brahmin. There is a problem that other than a Brahmin, no other people can cremate the body of a Brahmin. But the problem is Naranappa really a Brahmin? So there are many several problems. So nobody is ready to perform his final rites. Now they come to the Pranisacharya for this solution to this problem. So as the leader of the village, as the leader of the Agrahara, Pranisacharya should have to find a solution to this problem. And this is the focal point of the action of the novel. Then the most important female character in the novel is Chandri. Chandri is Naranappa's concubine. She is a low-caste prostitute. In the novel, the women are presented in binary terms. On the one hand, there are withered Brahmin women like Pranasacharya's wife Bhagirathi, and on the other hand, there are sexually attractive, voluptuous women like Chandri. She is a sexually attractive woman, and the Brahmins of the Agrahara are highly jealous of Naranappa for this reason. They always desire of Chandri inwardly, but they cannot show their desire because of the norms, because of the rigid rules of Brahminism. As found in the novel, Chandri is a very sincere woman, though she is a prostitute. After Naranappa's death, it is Chandri who ultimately cremates Naranappa's dead body with the help of Ahmad Pari, Naranappa's Muslim friend. So it is very clear that she has a sense of responsibility. Again, she offers a sharp contrast to the Brahmin woman. As said earlier, she is sexually highly attractive. In this respect, she offers sharp contrast to Bhagirathi, who is invalid. Again, she has shown her sense of responsibility by cremating Naranappa's dead body. She has great regard for the Brahmins. And on the other hand, there are greedy Brahmin women like Sita Devi and Anasua, the wife of Gurudacharya and Lakshmanacharya. Now, Chandri has a very important function in the novel. She initiated Pranasacharya or the Acharya into the sensual world of pleasures by offering her body to him. She offered her body to the Acharya in a spontaneous gesture out of compassion and brings him grace. Chandri is also an allegorical figure. She represents the mythical Urvasi, Menekha, or Matsagandhi. Chandri's relationship with Pranasacharya allegorically represents Parasar's relationship with Matsagandhi. There is another one character who is of great importance, and he is Putta. Putta is a young Brahmin from the Malera community. He is popularly known as Talkative Putta or the Riddleman Putta. He befriends Pranacharya on his journey for salvation in the forest. Putta is a riddle master, an expert bargainer, and a pimp without any samskara. Naranappa had an ideology, but Putta has none. He is a person who has no ideology. He has a fluid personality and he can fit himself in any situation. He takes the Acharya to a new world of demonic pleasures and sensations in the guided tour through temple festival and fair, whorehouse and pawn shop. The Acharya sees a demonic world of passion and sensation where human watchers of cockfights are one with the fighting roosters. Putta is so completely at one with this world that he is a marvel. So the presence of Putta is very necessary for the metamorphosis or for the completion of the Acharya's initiation. So Putta is of great importance in the novel. Now the next character is Padmavati. Padmavati is a prostitute who lives alone in Melik. She is also a voluptuous woman like Chandri. Putta takes the Acharya to her for a one-night stand during the guided tour. However, the Acharya finally overcomes Padmavati's temptation and decides to return to the Agrahara. Again, there is a low caste woman, Belli. She is an outcast woman. She is also sexually attractive. Lakshmanacharya's son-in-law Sripati is mad after her. So these are basically the major characters who are of great importance in the novel. There are also some other characters like Gurdacharya, Lakshmanacharya, Manajaya, Parijatapura, and many more. But we have to focus on these characters to discuss the important issues. In this video, we shall conclude here and we shall discuss the main topics in this novella, the answers to the main questions of this novella, the symbols, the various intriguing issues, the allegorical significance, the title, the process of transformation in the Acharya, and many more like these in our next video. So at the end of the video, I am requesting you once again to subscribe the channel and